Hi everyone, Brian Valerio, VP in the Proxy Solicitation Group at Alliance Advisors. I'm back with another Corp Gov alert. I want to let you all know that ISS recently released its 2021 benchmark policy updates. These are the benchmark proxy voting guidelines. And the biggest changes for the US market include policy changes around board, racial, and ethnic diversity, director accountability, shareholder litigation rights, as well as some policy updates on virtual shareholder meetings. So let's start by talking about the policy changes around board diversity, racial, and ethnicity. So effective for meetings starting in February of 2022, so not this year, but the following year, ISS will recommend against the chair of the nominating committee at Russell 3000 companies with no apparent ethnically or racially diverse directors. Now, there are some mitigating factors that will be taken into account. Essentially, if there was a director who fit that description at the preceding meeting, and there is going to be a commitment, a firm commitment, as they said, to appoint at least one racially or ethnically diverse member going forward. ISS will consider that as a mitigating factor. So that's probably the biggest change to the policies, but let's move on to some of the other changes. The next change that I want to talk about is director accountability. So here the big change was that ISS added that material failures of risk oversight now includes, quote unquote, demonstrably poor risk oversight of environmental and social issues, including climate change. And this may result in an against or withhold recommendation for individual directors, committees, or the entire board. Now, it's yet to be seen what would fall under this category, what would be so poor in terms of oversight of these environmental and social issues that it would warrant an against recommendation, as this is just a brand new change. But this is something to keep an eye out for and something we will be keeping an eye out for going forward. And we will see how this impacts voting at the 2021 proxy season meetings. The next change revolves around shareholder litigation rights. And again, these rights are going to be broken down whether a case would be pending in federal court or in state court. Essentially at the federal level, the big change is that ISS is going to recommend against provisions that restrict the forum to a particular federal district court, and unilateral adoption will generally be considered a one-time failure under ISS's unilateral bylaw or charter amendments policy. For the state laws, it's going to largely be case by case for states other than Delaware. If you're incorporated in Delaware, then the ISS will recommend against provisions that specify a state other than the state of incorporation as the exclusive forum for corporate law matters, or that specify a particular local court within a state. So those are some of the issues with the updated shareholder litigation rights. Finally, regarding virtual shareholder meetings, ISS is essentially silent on if they're going to make negative recommendations for companies that hold virtual-only meetings, but what they did talk about was that ISS will generally support management proposals that allow for hybrid meetings as long as the intention, in the absence of health or safety concerns, is not to hold virtual-only meetings at the preclusion of in-person meetings. ISS also noted that they're encouraging companies to disclose the circumstances under which virtual-only meetings will be held, and they want to ensure that companies are going to allow for similar rights and opportunities for shareholders to participate electronically and engage with the company in a virtual-only format as they would have during a in-person meeting. So these are some of the big takeaways from ISS's 2021 policy updates. Please connect if you have any questions about these or how these will impact your company or your clients.